Welcome back to Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. So let's enter the realsies Beth, and actually try to get back to Farah. But after a refreshing drink.
Which is probably contaminated by his dirty shoes.
Oh well, dweebs. Now what?
Spikes!
Well, thankfully there's a rope in the middle of the room, so yeah. What we need to do now is to use the rope to our advantage to jump on a plate, maybe if I aim a bit higher. Jump on a plate, jump back, god damn it, jump back to the rope. Yeah, I need to climb back a bit higher on the rope. Then swing, just, there you go. Just bounce on the plate, which should be lowering the bridge. But then we need to jump on the other plate, which will instead raise the gate, jump back on the rope, and finally get back to the bridge before the gate closes again.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
This was like a rope puzzle from Uncharted 4.
Well, the type of adventure is similar to that style, like Tomb Raider. All right.
And then I just stood there for some reason.
It's called studying the area, dweebs. Remember, knowing the layout of each room is important to survive.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, as you can see, there are... Hold on. Yeah, that was the fixed camera. As you can see in the road to proceed, there are some ground spikes. Now, what we need to do is actually to raise... first, pull the lever so that it opens the door. And then push the plate in order to open the blocks. And then to race the fuck out of this before the door closes. Unfortunately, there are traps everywhere, so have fun. God.
And immediately you get hit by one.
Well, yeah, this type of pendulum trap is actually the nastiest one, because you need to learn the movement to a T and actually, god damn it, and actually try to jump or duck it at the right moment. It gets a bit easier in the next games, but it's not, here it's an absolute nightmare.
No!
Thankfully, I have plenty enough of sand tanks to try and error. Which brings me to the other thing, and I think I mentioned it again before, but basically, you may think that the time rewind mechanic is actually way too OP, like game breaking or something. But honestly, in my opinion, it just balances enough due to the game's real brutal difficulty. Ow. Whatever, let's just run. There we go. Finally. Now the next thing to do is run on the wall, avoiding the buzzsaws. Or I could just die like that, like an idiot. Yeah, Dweebs, I think the only your source of enjoyment is probably the fact that I died a lot.
Yeah, because finally I get some vindication for all those times Pedro mocked me during my Uncharted playthroughs.
Well, those kind of traps you need to dodge roll the moment the blade hits.
Can't you just jump over them?
The jump is not high enough to avoid them, unfortunately. You can, however, use the wall jump in order to, like, when you run on a wall and you jump at the end of it. Anyway, we hear Farah's voice, so she must be close. Unfortunately, we have to deal also with these guys. Thankfully, there are, like, the dancer's concubines, so we can use the jumping mechanics relatively easily. But of course, since we can have nice things, there are also the blue lancer guys. The BDSM guys with the chains, as I mentioned, are not that much difficult. The only thing they do is to block your second attack when you do the the jump attack, and also tend to have a sweeping move, just like the big guards with the huge swords. But they're not too much of a nuisance. Once again, the major threats in this game are the ones colored with blue colored clothes.
Don't mind me, just taking a drink.
They're just waiting and even walking into that pillar for you while you
Yeah,
have a drink.
it's an instance when I got lucky actually, because sometimes when the enemy sees that you're going to drink, they tend to bomb rush you because they are in a vulnerable moment. Thankfully, I just got a glitch of that guy just wanting to hug that column.
The column is his wife.
He will not leave it. Unfortunately, the water, despite water being good for you and everything, the water doesn't actually damages the enemy. So if they stand in the water, they're not getting damaged, unfortunately.
Forgot. Aren't they partially made of sand?
Yeah, they're made of sand, so you think they will be vulnerable to water, but unfortunately it's not the case. It will be instead become a prominent rule starting from the next game, though.
That's one thing that sequel does good, I guess.
Remember that sand decomposes when you put it in water?
Yeah, it's essentially the weak point of Sandman in the Marvel comics.
Oh yeah, I've seen Spider-Man 3. I know.
Well, yeah, it's also we'll also see that even in Shadow Dimension. There we go,
So, yeah,
almost done with the Horde.
So that's the reason. That's part of the reason why Spider-Man's set in New York, not in England, because Sandman wouldn't stand a chance round here if that were the case.
Well, if he operates indoors, maybe.
Or if he does that thing he did when he fused with Hydro Man.
Oh god,
yes, but that means, Jovi, he would have had to have blown himself all the way from New York to England.
So, Tio, answer me this. How the hell was Sandman, of all people, able to fight a no-holds one-on-one fight with Hydro Man, of all people?
I have no idea. Just as I have no idea why in Spider-Man Reign he manages to have a daughter, which has the same abilities of him, but she's made of concrete instead.
Maybe he had a kid with... Trying to think of concrete-based powered villainesses.
Jovi, now you've got me imagining the Sandman having sex. Wouldn't that hurt his wife's vagina or something?
Dweebs.
That's literally rough sex.
Dwebs.
We're done with the Horde, so let's just go see the Vision.
Dwebs, we're talking about Spider-Rain, a story where Mary Jane dies because Peter apparently gave her some spider STD.
That story is so stupid. Anyway, after we get the Vision, we will be able to go back to Farah, I think. Okay, we need to demolish a wall. Go for more crabs and gold.
Run on a wall.
And we should be able to reach her. Or something. Alright then.
I'll start the story from here next time.
Okay.
Thanks, Yuri.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the next chapter of my slash fiction.
Now the thing here is that you need to find the next passage. You need just to explore the curtains here until you find one that has the passage that you need to find. There we go. Yeah, it's actually that because that's, I think, the only real correct passage. Yeah, that's the way I came in. Yeah, I get Jason!
Yeah, press X to
Farah. Press X to Farah.
Basically. So this is where David Cage took it from.
Now this is instead a bit of a race because Farah is now being attacked by sand monsters. So what we need to do is, and she can hold herself as I mentioned, but she can still get hit. So if she loses air to all of her health, it's game over. You need to reach her and help her defend as quickly as possible. I think it will be shown in a second. I mean, why I try to get to her, but she gets hurt. But it's not too hard of a racing against time that you need to do. But you still need to just not, slack around. There we go. That's the road we need to get to. The door. There we go. Yes, we get it. You can teleport. There she is. Also, don't you just love the fact that they every time the prince has to shout Farah's name, it recycles the same identical voice clip every time.
Glad. I mean, hell, even Heavy Rain had the decent sense to have more than just one take of the guy saying
To be
Jason.
fair, it was developed on a more powerful, technically powerful system,
Yeah, there's that as well.
and at a bigger budget. And very good. As you can see, she can get hurt while you try to get to her, so you need to gotta go fast, essentially. There she is.
Not just head to us, but there's also another advantage. Unlike Pascal and Dale, Yuri can actually act.
Hold on.
Were you waiting long?
Okay.
There you go. Go ahead.
Also, why do we Egyptians sound like we're English?
Persians.
Sorry,
It's
Persians. Why do we all
It's
sound
different, Dweebs.
Why do we
Persians
all sound like we're from England?
What was the term, Jova? You just need to stop assuming based on cultural assumption or something.
You need to stop basing things based on narrow-minded cultural assumptions.
There we go, Dweebs.
I guess we talked about this before.
Well, not about this specific type of.
As trials and tribulations shown, stepladders are not the only cultural assumptions we must be wary of.
So basically, Phoenix is a ladderist.
Anyway, this other horde to get is relatively easier, especially because thankfully you have Farah again backing you up, so her arrows can actually help you out by stunning the enemies enough to kill them more easily. But you also need to keep her in check as well, because once again, some monsters love to teleport right near her ass, so if you don't want to stick too close to her, you can use the pull, but again, these... Oh god, the camera. Oh god, the camera! But the horde is relatively easy anyway, so... There we go. The real problem, I think I mentioned these two already, but the real problem I have, at least for this game, is that due to the combat being slow, relatively slow, the fact that you get to fight so many enemies all the time can get really annoying. True, there are different strategies you can use against each enemy, and each enemy has like his own pattern or something. But again, having to fight like 50 enemies all the time at every 5 steps is a bit of a nuisance. Once again, thankfully it gets better in the next games due to, well, for better or worse, due to their more focus on combat. But I just wish there was a bit more balance in a sense that you didn't have to fight so much. Especially because one of the main big meat and potatoes of this game are the puzzle and acrobatic elements. Also, another thing, you can use the jump attack when an enemy is stunned by the dagger stab attack in order to kill it in just one hit instead of doing the 2-hit combo. However, I do not really recommend that, because if you want to do that, you might as well just kill it normally. Anyway, time for another vision. This time we'll need to push mirrors and push lights in specific places.
Okay. I've played my share of Mirror Shield Zelda puzzles.
And
I played
that's
that
the
bit on
tower.
Uncharted.
Done.
That too, yeah.
I'll start the story from here next time.
Oh?
Well, actually, it's interesting you say that, Dwebs. There's actually a mirror reflection puzzle in Lost Legacy that's very much like this.
Did you call me?
It doesn't matter.
Sure, she doesn't.
The important thing is, I know how we can reach the Tower of Dawn.
Of course. The hourglass. All right. But this time, stay with me and pay attention. Can't spend all day chasing after you.
Now, from now on, Farah will just basically stick with us for the rest of the journey, so we don't need to worry too much about her. Outside from
Excuse
combat,
me for a moment, I just need to have a drink.
Now,
You know, of all the times he's drunk, by the time this quest is over, he'll really need to use the toilet.
well, even in the remember Dweebs, even in the next games he does that. So yeah, what we need to do now, I think, is push the statue. There we go, so that Farah can enter the crack in the wall and open us the way.
Waiting for.
Ah.
Please.
We go again.
Yes.
In that case,
Yeah, I remember she can squeeze through these. Anyway, there you go. She will open us the way.
Thanks.
I'm afraid. What if I get into trouble?
I was just gonna say, I'm afraid I can't let you do that.
He's mocking her because he's still he's still not very accustomed to her behavior. So essentially, he's adapting. Again, George Scorcher summed it up. Essentially, the relationship between Farah and the prince as the prince not having been used to being around a person like Farah, and Farah trying instead to be to experiment, let's just say, with the prince and seeing what kind of not necessarily emotions, but responses she can get through different questions.
If you shine the light on the enemies, will that kill them?
Unfortunately, no. It's only good for the puzzles.
Oh.
you must
Yeah, I know. It's a waste opportunity.
We'll need to go back through the royal palace.
All right then. Let's
Ah,
find
that
a way
camera.
Ah. What happened there? Did what's a Christian take over?
Notice my directing, please. Oh, yeah, she just hurt me. Thank you, Farah.
Yeah, I mean, what's she really done so far? Get separated from us a billion times and now she's hurt us.
Well, that was kind of an accident that can happen in combat, but remember, otherwise she's still very useful. It all depends on the behavior of the AI at the end, Lives. And what you're hearing now, I think it's essentially the main theme of the game, which, surprisingly enough, I don't know why they used it right here, because, I mean, it's still a good theme, but it's just a bit out of place of it being here, whatever. Anyway, as Farah mentioned, we are in the Astrolab, I think it's called. What we need to do here after cleaning all the enemies will be to use the light puzzle to raise up platforms in order for us to progress, not just to the next room, but in order to get, I think, a more powerful sword from this very room, which again develops in verticality. So we'll need to run across the bookshelves in different positions, I think. It's in this one. But first, obviously, we have to kill the enemies and get to the next vision.
Yeah, next vision, please.
There is also a fountain here if you're having, well, not a pool of water like a straight fountain if you're having trouble, but there are only lance type enemies here, so you should not having too much of trouble. If Farah decides to not get killed, maybe. There we go. Oh, and I died. And I cannot rewind time because I'm way out of the gauge. Fantastic.
No, that didn't happen
Wow.
either.
Well, something magical was about to happen. First, this mid-combat. Yeah, I skipped a bit because God!
What the fuck?
And at the end of the fight, this. Prepare to be amazed, ladies and gentlemen, and weaves.
Okay, battle's
There
over.
we go!
What?
Farah, what are you doing?
Farah, you
Put
okay?
your clothes back! Farah!
Farah,
What
your
the
clothes
hell?
are stretching out.
Polished ports, everyone!
I
Farah,
don't...
what's happening to you?
And trust me, this is not the last time a glitch will happen. The worst is yet to come. Not maybe for this game, but trust me. God!
Well, that's...
Well, maybe this will reset it.
Maybe. Well, no, I reset it by exiting the game and loading back the save file, but Jesus!
And this is still better. And this is still better polished than Assassin's Creed Unity.
That's saying a lot.
I know, right?
Ubisoft. So Ubisoft has been having these kinds of problems for a
I'll
long time.
start the story from here next time.
Stop showing me that. Oh well, I guess we'll see you in the next part.
The
Maybe.
fabric of reality is trying to pull me apart.
Put your
Fabric is the
pants back on and stop stretching them like that.
Fabric is the right term. See ya.
See ya, everybody.
See ya.